I've got the looks and the charm of an old movie star. Cary Grant, if you will, so I find it bizarre that this girl should refuse to step into my car. She must be shy, she'll come around, it's just a matter of time. Aurora, Aurora.
Hey there, Screen Beans, and welcome to Screen Snark, the podcast that celebrates all of the shows that are in our eyes, on our minds, and in our hearts. I am Rachel Quirky Shank.
And I am Matt, a.k.a. Stormageddon. And we're back.
We're here.
We're doing it. We did it.
2022. It's still a thing.
It's never ending. Forever.
Forever.
It's 2022. It's
the sequel.
It's the sequel.
Oh, I'm sorry. I keep saying it wrong. It's the squeakquel.
Oh, Jason Lee, you used to be a smart, cool guy, and now you're trash on many levels. Anyway, we are not here to talk about Jason.
Living long enough to see yourself become the villain.
But we're not here to talk about how Jason Lee has become the villain. We are here to talk about awesome TV and talk with our incredible guest, the wonderful, charming, and delightful Leon Barillaro. I got it in one. Hell yeah.
Woo!
Yay.
Welcome, Leon.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
We're so excited to have you. Listeners might recognize Leon's voice from their episodes of Side Quests on both Earthbound and Pokemon Snap. If you have not heard them, I highly recommend them. But first, listen to this episode. You can go back.
Yeah.
They'll be there.
I start here. Wait till it gets to the second Aurora, and then go listen to all of Side Quests.
Yeah. All 100 and almost 50 of them. God, that's weird to say out loud. But this is not a show about my other shows because that is too much. We're going to talk, of course, with Leon about their narrative design, their incredible work in and around D&D and gaming. But first, we're going to talk about the most recent things we've watched. And I, of course, am going to go first, as I always do. And the thing I have brought is the thing you might expect based on the time we're recording this, but not the time you're listening to this, as we are banking some episodes. But I saw the movie of the past weekend, The Batman. A movie that I was only sort of excited for. Nothing wrong with Matt Reeves. I actually happen to like a lot of Matt Reeves' movies. I am a Robert Pattinson champion. I've talked about previously The Lighthouse, which is the best, weirdest movie I've ever seen starring him. But I don't know. I'm so tired of gritty reboots. I'm so tired of gritty Gotham. Like, I get that that's kind of how Gotham is known to be, but it's exhausting. So anyway, I was excited to see it because it looked cool, and I like Robert Pattinson. I think he's a great idea for Batman. But I was not excited to see another gritty, realistic comic book movie. Give me more Shazams. We say that a lot, and this was definitely not that. However, I heard something earlier today when listening to a different podcast, Waypoint, which is typically a gaming podcast, but sometimes do movie stuff. I think it was the New York Times review, called it gritty camp. And when I heard that, I was like, oh my God, that makes sense. Because the hardest part about seeing this movie in theaters is that there are some goofy Adam West level nonsense moments that no one laughed at because they think they're watching another Nolan movie. And it bums me out. I mean, I'll get this out of the way at the top. I think fat suits in movies and TV still fucking suck. They're dumb.
Yeah.
Being fat is not a costume. It's a type of person. So know that as I praise Colin Farrell's performance, because Colin Farrell was great in this movie. But I think either have a skinny penguin or cast a fat actor. Don't use fat suits. They're bad. Rant over. But there are moments with Colin Farrell waddling around as the Penguin that are so fucking funny, and nobody laughed in the theater except me and my spouse and the people we were with. And I'm like, are we watching the same movie here?
Well, there's a whole lot of murder, so I think some people might be struck with the whole Matt Reeves' Batman 7. You know, that maybe they're like, I'm not sure if it's appropriate to laugh here.
Yeah.
But yeah, Pattinson saying, you've got a lot of cats.
The scene is so ridiculous.
So good.
Or when they find the thumb drive and it's like, thumb drive. It's just, I mean, the best part about this movie is, because I don't want to make it too spoilery, even though it'll be a few weeks after since it had come out. Like, this movie cares more about Batman than Bruce Wayne. There's a lot more Batman moments. And it's a lot of one-liners and him kind of just brooding. Appreciate that he doesn't do a Batman voice. He's just kind of talking deeply, but he's not like, he's not doing this. Thank God. Also, like, Jeffrey Wright as Commissioner Gordon might be Captain Gordon is probably one of my favorite depictions. You know, it's hard to beat, oh no, his name fell out of my head, from the Nolan trilogy. Come on, man.
Gary Oldman.
Gary Oldman.
Gary Oldman. It's hard to beat Gary Oldman just because he's the best at everything ever. But, like, Jeffrey Wright was so good in this role. The whole casting of the film, like, I thought was very good. It just needed to be like a half hour shorter, 40 minutes shorter, but also because of the kind of movie it is, you couldn't actually cut it to be shorter because the whole thing is about the pacing and the drawn out crime scene investigations. But like, and I'm not a person who complains about length of movies, but this is the first time in a long time that I was sitting in a theater going, oh, it's not over yet? I wasn't upset either. Mind you, I've enjoyed this movie. I think I need to say it again before I really understand. But like, there was a moment right before the big fourth act, because there's a fourth act. I went, oh, there's more movie.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, I'm in.
Matt, I have a question. Did you know what the runtime of this movie was before going into it?
I did.
Okay. I'm starting a social experiment right now because I either completely missed the news of what the runtime of the Batman was or forgot. That's my brain.
Right.
So after I left the movie was the only time I realized that movie was 3 hours long. Mm-hmm. And I did not feel it.
Interesting.
How wild.
That
like
is
every time
wild.
someone's like, this movie's 2 hours and 55 minutes. And like people keep saying that to me. And the only reason that I can like parse that in my head is that at a certain point during my movie going experience, I was like, I have to go to the bathroom. That usually doesn't happen to me till the end of the movie. And it was just like my body clock being like, it's about 90 minutes, 2 hours. Like you're starting to feel it. And I just thought I was having a medical emergency. It wasn't though. It's just a very long movie. But I literally did not feel the 3 hours. How strange.
That is very strange. Leon, have you had a chance to see it yet?
I have not. I'm desperate. Okay. I'm going for Catwoman. That's why I'm going to go to that movie.
Why wouldn't you?
Yes.
I remember there was this tweet going around like the day before the movie came out that said, in my showing of the Batman, someone audibly moaned when Zoe Kravitz walked on screen. And I was like, yeah, okay, legit. Yeah. The funniest thing, that I also am stealing this from one of my favorite podcasts because they said it and now it makes sense. This is a movie about wanting to sleep with Robert Pattinson's Batman. Like, all of the choices, Zoe Kravitz, how she acts, it's about, like, it's putting the Batman on this pedestal, which I don't disagree with. I think Robert Pattinson is a schlubby but attractive-looking man. And not schlubby because there's anything wrong with him. It's because he dresses like he's still living in the 90s, which I'm here for. Like, let's go. If you haven't seen his interview talking about Final Fantasy VII and talking at Zoe Kravitz, who has no idea what's happening because she probably wasn't born when that game came out. It's interesting. Like, I don't want to get into too much plot stuff since Leon hasn't seen it, but like based on the trailers, this is more of a detective story. But what's interesting to me is you compared it to Seven, which a lot of people have. Like, at first, I really thought I was going to hate this version of the Riddler, right? Because dark and gritty version of Batman villains don't always work. Like, the dark and gritty version of Bane didn't really work, although that whole movie was a mess. I love Heath Ledger's Joker, but upon multiple rewatches, a movie that's still probably my favorite Batman movie next to Mask of the Phantasm, doesn't hold up in our current version of the U.S. after everything that's happened in the more recent political climate. That movie just weighs a little heavier, I think. But, like, it's clear that this movie wanted to mirror the political stakes that are currently happening in our country and other countries in the world, talking about like online niche groups and radicalization and all of that. And I ended up liking the Riddler a lot more than I thought because he was just so strange and differently done. But I think there was some of the downtime with this movie that just seemed like they wanted you to linger on moments, which I think is interesting. And as far as looking like a comic book, there are scenes that I feel like are straight out of Long Halloween and Hush, and like that's really cool. There's a scene that I think it's in the trailer also where everything is backlit, so Gordon is like dark, and so is the bat signal, and he's standing next to it, and there are and there are pillars, and like he starts to talk, and then Robert Pattinson just walks out from behind a pillar. Excuse me. That's like straight out of a comic book, and I love that. I think I need more time with the movie on a second watch to see if the pacing's really off, or I was just tired of sitting in a movie theater with my old man knees and being there for 3 hours.
Yeah, it is definitely a slow burn, and I will say, having watched Seven prior to this, I think also gave me a really good primer of like what Matt Reeves is going for, you know, and also coming off a watch of Seven, just being like, oh, this is practically farce in comparison. Seven is such a dark, sad, grim, sad movie. And there's no light in it at all. Like, there's maybe one or two scenes where any of the characters laugh or express any joy. The setting is a character in itself that is just like this dour, corrupting, Gotham-esque influence that no one can escape from. It's like so sad. And like, if you want to feel like the light of these bright red lights of the Batman, like, watch Seven first, but also don't watch Seven because holy shit, it's so 90s, and like they hate everyone in that. They hate different body types, different orientations, just like it's just spewing that edgelord garbage. And like the movie is not condoning that, obviously, but it's still just like, oh, it was the 90s. God, it was the 90s. So take my endorsement with that grain of salt. Content warning for every type of human phobia.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, to sum up my thoughts on Batman, because I don't know how much more I can go into it without plot stuff. I think my favorite things about it are the cast, the setting, and the shots. The soundtrack is phenomenal.
The score.
This is the first time.
Delicious.
This is the first time.
Leitmotifs.
This is the first Batman score since Dark Knight that I've really loved. And like we talked about it a few episodes ago, I rewatched Master of the Phantasm for our Batman Dark Knight Fortnite episode, which is still a perfect Batman movie. Full stop. Has also some of the best scoring because it's the same woman who scored Batman the Animated Series and Superman the Animated Series and all of that stuff. But like, this is the first time since Dark Knight where I went, this score is great. It's like Zack Snyder's movies have a host of issues. They have good momentary themes, like Wonder Woman's theme by Hans Zimmer from all of her movies is really cool. However, the rest of the scoring in that movie and Justice League and all of that, completely forgettable. I couldn't tell you Batman's theme from Batman v Superman. I don't remember it, and that's kind of a bummer. Yeah, I think this movie, if you're a Batman fan, you'll enjoy this movie, and I think it does enough different from other grimdark stuff to enjoy it. But I also think what I like about this movie is, again, it is this gritty camp. Like, if you think a moment's funny, laugh, because it is. It's definitely those, like, again, when, like Rachel mentioned earlier, when Batman meets Catwoman for the first time, he just goes, "Oh, you got a lot of cats." It's just so stupid.
I love how much Robert Pattinson's Batman just cannot person.
No.
It literally rules. That's the thing that I really, really love about this. And you say that, like, if you're a Batman fan, you will like this. I'm going to say if you're a Batman fan, you may not like this because I don't think this movie is necessarily a fan of Batman. This movie does not want to like blow Batman. You know, it really is questioning. It's like this idea of like a guy in a bat costume punching low-level criminals. Like, it is constantly in that question. And I think that may lead like major Batman fans to be not excited about this one.
Could be.
So yeah, but
I see that.
I appreciate Batman, and I really like this version a lot.
I also have to say that this movie continues to prove that no matter who plays Alfred in any Batman movie is always the highlight of those movies. Andy Serkis is a revelation as Alfred. Jeremy Irons as Alfred in the Snyderverse is the only good thing about the regular people in those movies. But like, yeah, I love Michael Caine, of course. Like I've loved every Alfred, but I love Andy Serkis's Alfred because also this is a young Batman. It's year 2 Batman. And so Andy Serkis still has some of his youth to him. And like, it's clear this man used to kick ass in a former life. It's more obvious than other Alfreds. All of the Alfreds have had that mystique, except maybe the Burton ones, because they played up the age a lot more with that version of Alfred, who is still a delight. But like this one, it's clear, like, as Andy Serkis. Also, I just see Claw when looking at Andy Serkis now because he's got a similar haircut in this. And like, God, I loved him as Claw in the Black Panther movie. He was so stupid and great. And so like, I see that a bit. But yeah, that's my last thought. But yeah, I like this movie a lot. I want to see it more. It's not my favorite Batman movie. It's not even my second favorite Batman movie, as I said, my other 2 favorites. But I like it, and I'm curious to see what they do with it. Also, like, the one spoiler thing they do, you'd think I would have been excited about, but I was actually not as excited about.
Oh, yeah. I was filled with dread about it.
Yeah.
And then it was over, and I was like, okay.
All right.
It's fine.
And like, listeners of the show, if you know me, you know what that spoiler is. And like, but we'll see. I'm curious to see what they do with it. But like, I just, the moment happened and I went, ugh, this could have been a not in this movie. They could have done something with this in the next one that we know we're already getting, along with our HBO Max Penguin series that we know we're definitely getting. That I'm actually
I think we're also getting
about.
a Catwoman series.
I think so. That one I don't think has been confirmed, but yeah.
I think they're in talks.
I mean, I would love for them to do the Marvel MCU thing, but with just the Batman universe, because the Rogues Gallery is gigantic, and so I think there's some cool stuff to do there. But anyway, all right. I've rambled enough about the Batman. If you want to see the Batman, go see the Batman.
Amazing. It's a solid synthesis of the Batmans that have come before it.
I agree. I think it does have elements of all of them. Even Schumacher is in there.
Yes! Schumacher supremacist says yes. So Matt, if you had to sum up the Batman in just 3 words, and you cannot use the or Batman to describe it, how would you do so?
I mean, I'm going to steal that review quote because I think it's really appropriated. I'm just going to call it gritty camp fun.
Bisexual panic.
Yes, also Bisexual Panic, the movie. Not only because I'm attracted to Robert Pattinson and Zoe Kravitz, because duh, I have a pulse, but also Andy Serkis I'm attracted to. Yeah. I'm actually even kind of into Jeffrey Wright. Like, there are a lot of attractive folks in this movie.
Hey, Paul Dano ain't no slouch in this either.
No, yeah, I guess I could see that. Not my type.
Yeah, he's rolling high on charisma for me, though.
Fair enough.
I'm just over here being like, I can smooch you. That's fine. You're evil. I can smooch you, though.
All right. Well, shall we move on to Rachel, the most recent thing you've watched?
We shall. I am still on my tawdry fantasy bullshit. Here we go. So I finished A Discovery of Witches.
Okay.
It ends really weak, and it stopped being buck wild in a fun way. So take that with a grain of salt. But I was still itching, because I was kind of left on this kind of petering out of a television series that I was like, okay, what else is out there for me to consume that is kind of like that, like history core meets like high fantasy meets magic meets like interesting characters navigating a space. So I started the television show Outlander.
Oh, I've heard about Outlander.
Yes. So I finished season 1 and in the midst of season 2, but I would very much like to talk about season 1 because I adored it. I thought it was great. So the premise of Outlander is it follows a woman from the year 1945. She is a wartime nurse during World War II. And she goes on a second honeymoon with her semi-estranged husband because they have been fighting in the war for like the past 5 years. So they're like trying to reconnect. And they go to Scotland to sort of discover her husband Frank's family history. And it's around Samhain. So there's a lot of like that Celtic like mysticism and stuff. And she goes to a stone platform called Craignadoon. And she touches the stone in the middle, and she gets transported back to Jacobite Scotland.
What?
Okay. Yep. And because she has medical expertise, because she's been in combat and tended to soldiers, she sort of like climbs the ranks in this Highland castle. And so she's sort of navigating being a modern woman in this like past time, you know, and like trying to conceal that. And she starts to develop like a kinship romance with one of the Highlanders named Jamie, which I will call Jamie the Scottish man. Yeah, it's real sexy too. I'm not kidding. Like it starts out and like her present day husband and she like go at it, and it's like it's like well shot though. It's not like nasty. It's very much like tended to like a femme aesthetic, you know, very much like we're looking at this through like a better gaze, and it's really trying to like toe the line of like female nudity to male nudity. Like for every like breasts you see, some of them are sexualized, some of them are not, and you get to see like male full frontal. Like it's really trying its best to do like solid like feminism storytelling. It's from a book series that started in the 90s. Again, I'm just watching television shows based on like tawdry novels that have taken off because that's like the trend. And I won't get too spoilery in it. There's a lot of like political intrigue and like social classes and lots of interesting things. And I felt it was a solid romp, you know, like the stakes are kind of high, but they're not super high, you know, like the Scots and the Highlands are like planning a Jacobite rebellion, but like it's not it's not really moving anywhere yet, you know. It hasn't hit that like apex of like the final battles and like the abolition of like Highland culture and all of that. But Claire, the protagonist, knows that the Jacobite rebellion isn't going to work out the whole time, and so they have skirmishes with like British soldiers and stuff, you know. And then it just goes off the rails in the last episode of the first season in a way that I really wish someone had prepped me for, because it devolves into like homosexual, like psychosexual torture sequence. And I was so uncomfortable by it. It didn't stop me from watching the show. I still really, really like the show, but it was just one of those, like, someone could have thrown a content warning up here because it's so vastly, like, more brutal in so many different ways that I had to like read ahead about like what was gonna happen between like these two characters in these scenes, because it was so grim. Like just the absolute like torture of a person's body, soul, mind, the whole shebang. Yeah. And like I think they try to handle it with delicacy, you know, and some nuance, and like they understand that like this trauma is really difficult to get over and it's really messy. And I'm so glad that we're dealing with the fallout of that in season 2. But like I mostly just want to say I really love the show. It's very, very fun. It has a lot of cool things to say and a lot of like kind of buck wild like tangents that it goes on, but I love all of them. There's like a moment where Claire's in a witch trial and you're just like, what? Why? Hello? How did this happen? So this escalated so quickly, but you're also kind of like, yeah, that's kind of how like a mob frenzied mindset might take hold, and also like people are bored and they're like, let's burn a witch, who cares, you know. It's not vilifying anyone to a major degree. Even the wild torture scene doesn't play like an absolute nightmare. I mean, it is an absolute nightmare, but they're still like granting humanity to both of these characters, but it's just like such a brutal place to put like the victim character in, that it feels like they made him sort of like the sacrificial lamb of male abuse to like counterbalance like decades and decades of like women being abused on screen. It almost felt like we were pushing it so far to be like, and take that, patriarchy. It almost felt like that, but not in like a mean-spirited way. I think kind of in a like, they really wanted to like deeply explore this, but it was just maybe too much for the venue, you know, where it was just kind of like, yes, we did a witch trial. It was kind of ridiculous and a little, and still like lighthearted, you know. You kind of know that Claire's going to get out of the scrape because obviously like she's the protagonist. And you also kind of know that like our victim's going to get out of it because he's like also very crucial to the plot. But it was just, did we need to take it this far? Did we need to just ravage this human being so utterly? You know, it seemed intense. But please don't let that sound like it's not an endorsement, because it's great. The tension between Jamie and Claire is, it's so good. The chemistry is fire. It is absolutely fire. You can absolutely see like why these two beings like gravitate toward each other, because these two actors are just like, they're in it, you know. They're very much victims of their own circumstances, you know. She is an outlander, as they keep calling her, and like he is wanted by the British government for a murder he's been framed for. So like they don't have a lot of choices, and so they come together on sort of like, they're both strangers, but not really, like, you know, but they're both sort of like on the lower rungs of this Highland society, and it makes sense that like they'd sort of be like brought together, you know.
I have one question about this TV show.
Sure. Yes. Tell me the question.
So she time traveled back.
Yes, she got sucked through a magic portal.
Does she ever want or attempt or try to go home, or she just accepted her fate? She
spends most of the season trying to get back.
Okay, got it.
It really highlights how powerless you can be in society if you don't have any means or connections or anything. Mm-hmm. You know, like she's sort of shuffled to be the healer of this castle, you know, against her will. And like she spends a lot of that first bit like plotting, trying to get back to the Stones to see if she can travel back home. Like, is this even possible? Yeah, I really love it. I just really, my only thing is I wish I had looked ahead and gotten a content warning, because I was not prepared for how just utterly grim that entire last episode was. But again, like I'm in season 2, like we're really working on dealing with how a person moves on after something so horrible happens to them. And like it's going really well, because like this is a man from like Jacobite Scotland from like the 1700s. So like he's not going to be like, yeah, I suffered a lot of trauma and a lot of like my physical pain was manipulated into like mental pain and all of this, but like he's trying to get back, you know. And I really appreciate that. I mostly just question how detailed and graphic it was, but also like weirdly tender. It's really hard to explain without you having seen it. But yeah, I think the costumes are absolutely anachronistic, unbelievably so, especially for our lead. You know, like the amount of cleavage that she is given is definitely leaning towards tawdry romance more than like historical fiction. But, like, that's television. What are you going to do? But a lot of the other costumes for, like, the background actors look awesome. Look on point. Like, it's really being respectful to, like, Highland culture, you know, and, like, not making them out to be a bunch of barbarians, but, like, understanding that their barbarism is part of, like, how they stay safe, you know, how they protect each other. Like, there's a one scene where Claire disobeys her husband in Scotland, and it runs a risk for their entire castle, their entire community, and she gets spanked for it. And it's played like you're sympathetic to both of these characters. One, because, like, she's getting physically punished because she made a choice to try and get back to her time, but, like, her choices affected this rebellion, you know, it could have cost them literally everything. So, like, you can understand both sides of it, even in the moment. And when more information is, like, brought forward, you know, like, she slowly starts telling people she trusts about, like, I'm not from here, I'm from the future. And there's this really beautiful moment where there's this recognition of Jamie's, like, I beat you for trying to go home. I'm so sorry. Like, you know, and just, like, this really, like, honest moment of, like, I fucked up, you know? And it's, they have such a good relationship despite these maddening circumstances. They sometimes don't see eye to eye. They definitely have different ways of thinking, you know, because they are two different people from different lands and literally different times. And a lot of moments of Jamie having to, like, say, you need to trust me on this one, Claire. Like, you are an Outlander. I'm sorry. That's just how this is. And I think it's a really great story of human connection, and also, like, not making everybody, like, super black and white in their morality. Like, there are characters that make awful choices, but they're not awful people, with the exception of the abuser at the final episode. They just paint him as just an absolute villain every single second, but it's awesome because he's also being played by the future husband. So it's, like, this weird, like...
Oh, interesting.
Because he's descended from this British soldier. So, like, you meet him and it's, like, the same actor. It's the guy who played Edmure Tully in Game of Thrones. So you're just like, oh, damn. So, like...
It's a great casting choice, too.
Yeah, and also it's so sweet because, like, his future self, Frank, is, like, such a nice man. He's such a good man, and he's, like, descended from this monster. It rules. And also season 2 is getting really weird because, like, they're, like, trying to change the future because, like, Claire knows the future, and it's so funny. It's like getting all Back to the Future about it, and I love it.
Wild. That sounds
really
it's a
wild show, and I really like it. That's why I'm still going with it, even though, like, I was really off put by the finale.
Well, if you had to sum up. Yes, I
will summon it.
Summon up
like a witch at Craignadoon on a Samhain evening.
If you had to review Outlander in just 3 words, without using the one word Outlander, because I believe that's one word, not 2, what 3 words would you use to describe this program?
Sexy, brutal fiction.
Nice, straight to the point.
Brutal. There's one scene where they nail a kid's ear to a post because he was naughty. Oh, it's so bloody. It's bloody. Oh, there's also this really, like, gruesome scene of, like, a disembowelment that's actually one of the most beautiful death scenes I've ever witnessed on screen. It was so gorgeous, and all of the actors in the scene, like, have such grounded characters that they all are, like, bringing so much to the dynamic of it. There's, like, the brother of the Lord, the dying man, Claire, and it's just they're giving this man in his dying moments a little bit of peace before he goes. And, like, the brother of the Laird, Dougal, is watching Claire interact with this, like, brutally dying, disemboweled man, and how she's just so calm. And he's like, you've seen men die in battle before. And he just, like, this newfound respect for her comes, like, without him saying it. It's beautiful. Like, it's beautiful. It's brutal. It's worth checking out if you have the stomach for, like, seeing guts. And all sex. Right. And lots of sex. Oh my God, so much sex. Jeez.
All right. Yeah. Well, I can't wait to see what fantasy nonsense you bring in 2 weeks. Since it's been pretty consistent.
I don't know. I might be on Outlander for a while. There's like 6 seasons of that shit.
All right. Well, now it's time for our incredible guest, Leon. Leon, what is the most recent thing you have watched that you've brought to chat with us about?
The thing that I have brought with today is the anime Odd Taxi.
Okay.
Odd Taxi is a 13-episode show. It came out last year, and the dub is currently being released 2 episodes at a time right now. And I watched it when it came out. I was obsessed with it. I'm watching the dub, and then as I was watching the dub, the episodes aren't coming out fast enough, so I had to go back and watch the original, the sub again, because it's that good. Odd Taxi. The plot of Odd Taxi is that the main character is a taxi driving walrus in Tokyo in the very, very distant past of the year 2020, which was an eternity ago. I know. This walrus, his name is Otokawa. He drives a taxi. He's in his 40s, and he somehow gets wrapped up in this mystery of a missing girl somewhere in Tokyo, a missing high school girl. There are members of the Yakuza involved, and he is somehow wrapped up like right in between this gang war between 2 factions of the Yakuza. He gets wrapped up in there's like an idol group, like a pop idol group, who is also wrapped up in the drama around this missing girl. There is like a his best friend is a desperate unmarried 41-year-old man who catfishes online. His other best friend is his doctor, and there's like each character in this story somehow ends up being tied to the central point of this missing high school girl. No detail in the entire show is extraneous or just put in there for show. Every single detail is important. And the thing that blows my mind about that specifically is that throughout the show, the characters will be talking about stuff, and it is so conversational. They'll go off on tangents. Like in the first episode, Otokawa is talking to his doctor, and they are arguing back and forth about Otokawa he's having difficulty sleeping. And the doctor is like, well, if you didn't listen to such terrible comedy, maybe if you took my music recommendations, then you would go to sleep fast enough. And Otokawa says something like, the last time that you told me to listen to music, you made me listen to We Are the World. And then they get into an argument about like which performer in We Are the World is the best performer. And I was like, where's the plot? But like every conversation has that moment where they just get off on a tangent about something that like seemingly has nothing to do with the show. But the comedian that Otokawa talks about is important for the rest of the show, has like plot significance.
Brilliant. Ooh, that's tight writing. Ooh.
It's so tight. It's
you had me at walrus driving a taxi in an anime, but like you've won my whole heart with like tight writing where everything is significant.
Yeah, it's the other part about it that I really, really enjoy is the very, very tight collaboration that they had with pretty much everybody on the project, but specifically like a lot of their musicians. Their producer who did the opening of the anime and also produced the entire soundtrack. There are references to all of his music, like just stuck in the anime everywhere. He actually, Punpy is the name of this artist. He was my top Spotify artist in 2021 because after I watched the show, I was like, well, now I have to listen to everything he's ever done. Right. There is supplementary content that they produced. Every single week, along with an episode, they released an audio drama, like a 5 to 15 minute audio only scene based in based on what happened that week in the show, there would be a complimentary scene from characters that you didn't get to see that week. And it's all, I felt like watching the show, that the Pepe Sylvia moment and It's Always Sunny, where you're like drawing these lines between things that seemingly aren't connected, because the audio drama premise, which is in and of itself its own show, is that there is a bugged pen, and the pen in the television show keeps changing hands. Like someone will hand the pen over to sign like a paper or something, and they'll take it with them and you'll see it change hands. And then there's this like high school kid who somehow intercepted the signals from the bug and is recording that those conversations and posting them online. And that's what the audio dramas are.
Wow. That's brilliant.
That rules. That's so good.
I love the idea of integrating other media with existing media, right? Like effectively a podcast wrapped into this TV show or like things like that. That's really smart.
They released like some background comics. And one character, this is a mild spoiler, but it's very important to me that I talk about him. One character that they build up, one of the Yakuza men, his name is Yano, and they talk about this man who is like, you know, he's young, but he's dangerous. He's only 27, but he's in high regard by the boss. And he, you know, he has all these new ideas for schemes, and he's always thinking 10 steps ahead. And unlike the rest of the Yakuza men who have honor, he doesn't, and he's dangerous and he'll do whatever he wants. And then halfway through the show, they introduce Yano, and Yano is a porcupine who wears a nice gray suit all the time. And Yano's character trait is that he only speaks in rap. And that's it.
I think I heard about this.
They hired a Japanese rapper by the name of Meteor, who basically wrote, like, I don't know if he freestyled or if he wrote the raps, but he like wrote all of the lines himself. They told him, like, here's what Yano needs to say. Here are the tracks that you can rap over. And he would just record this. And not only that, after the show came out, he produced an entire EP through the eyes of Yano, where Yano was writing songs about what he went through as he was going through the show.
Brilliant. I love that. That's amazing.
This is the best ARG I've ever heard of.
Right?
That's amazing. I love it. Where is this available? Where can this be watched?
Yeah, this one, it's on Crunchyroll right now.
Okay.
As of right now, all of the episodes in the sub are available, and over half of the episodes in the dub. They release that every 2 weeks. And April 1st, there's going to be a movie because it was so big in Japan.
Ooh.
Like Odd Taxi, also very funny in Japan. They were like advertising Odd Taxi in Japanese taxis. They had, which I think is brilliant. They had like a lot of these audio drama things. They would do like live recordings. They had they worked with actual like comedy duos, because there's like a C plot in the show about this comedy duo who's trying to make it really big, but they've been trying for like 3 years and they're not doing very well. So they would have live recordings of like actual comedy duos come in, and they got furry-fied. Like all of the cast has like pictures that the art director drew of like them as animals. It's like there's such a deep rabbit hole of like the lengths that this production team went to really make you feel immersed in this different version of Tokyo.
Oh, I love that. That's so
gosh.
great. I'm a big fan of like single season animes, and so like this sounds like it's right up my alley. And also I love slice of life anime. I know a lot of folks who like the big action stuff, which I like too, but like slice of life stuff is some of my favorite. You know, we've come a long way since Tenchi Muyo, I'll just say that. And so like I feel like the more modern stuff is where it's at. So I'm definitely going to check this out. This sounds great.
Yeah, I've been looking for a watch along with my partner. We've just sort of like we finished some things, and now I'm going to be like, you want to watch Odd Taxi?
Yes.
Let's go.
Amazing. Well, Leon, if you had to sum up Odd Taxi in just 3 words without using the word odd or taxi, what 3 words would you use?
Furry film noir.
Ooh, nice. Well done. Love that.
That's
said.
a tasty description.
Excellent.
Don't put any punctuation between that, Case, because that's
I
a
will leave
perfect
Case
that
alone.
flows so beautifully, Case.
Leave him
Don't
alone.
ruin it.
Look,
He
unless you're
brainwashed my cat, so this feud
you're
is
on that. You're on that again.
This feud lives.
Lives until it dies.
It'll never die. This war is forever.
Leon, thank you for joining us. I'm so
Thank you,
excited to have you
Leon.
here. So I've met you through the incredible Jeff Moonen, who brings everybody together. You've been doing narrative and design for a long time for TTRPGs and video games. You've also done a lot of stuff for some interesting live theater experiences. I'm curious, how did you get involved in like narrative and design stuff? Were you always like a fan of games, tabletop, and that kind of stuff growing up?
Yeah, so I was a massively huge video game fan growing up. I think, my interest in narrative design to the original Paper Mario, which taught me that, yeah, it's so good, but it taught me like, before Paper Mario, I don't think I'd ever finished a video game because there was really nothing. Like, if there's something that I can't do, I'll go, okay, and do something else, right?
Right.
And Paper Mario was the first time where I was like, well, if I don't fix this, then Princess Peach is going to stay kidnapped forever, and the no one's going to get to make wishes because the star is in the Star World. And that was the very first game that I ever beat because I needed to know what happened, and I wanted to save Princess Peach from Bowser. And so, but like all of the characters had names. It wasn't just like Koopas and Goombas. It was Koops and Goombario. And that like, oh man. And so when I know that not everybody is like this, but when it could be the best gameplay in the world. But if I don't care about the characters or the setting or the story or the world in some way, I'm not going to play. Or I'll play it for a little bit and I won't finish it. And I think that idea of really like gripping people and enticing them to play is the thing that made me go, that's what I want to do. I want to make video games like that. Or just games, I guess. At first, when I was a baby, I was like, yeah, video games are the only kinds of games. And then I grew up and learned that's not the case.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you've done a ton of cool D&D related stuff. Of all of the ones that I see accredited to you, the one I am most curious about is Bardcore Brawlers, mostly because I am a big old music nerd. And so why don't you tell the folks, so this is a supplement for D&D 5e. Mm-hmm. Talk a little bit about what Bardcore Brawlers is.
Absolutely. Bardcore Brawlers is a passion project. It's the first ever idea that I had to write, like even before I started dungeon mastering, I had this idea of what if you could recreate that scene from Scott Pilgrim versus the World where Sex Bomb fights the Katayanagi twins, the one where it's band versus band simultaneously, be the best player, and you I get your shit wrecked if you lose, right? Like, and there's you're summoning large magical demons and fighting each other. And it went through a ton of iterations, but at the end of it, what it is a reskin for Dungeons and Dragons combat. So if you're familiar with D&D combat, right, you have to roll the dice to see if you hit with your weapon, and then you have to roll the dice to see how much damage you deal with your weapon. And then, you know, as people's HP goes down, when it hits 0, they're done, right? I reskinned that. So instead of dealing damage to people physically with weapons, you're dealing damage to your opponent metaphysically with your instruments. So instead of making attack rolls, you make riff rolls. So every time it's your turn, you're effectively like going up to solo against the other team.
I love that.
Genius.
That's so brilliant. It's funny too, because when I was looking at it, I was thinking, I love Scott Pilgrim. Everyone who listens to the show knows that. And so like, I was thinking of something like that. I'm so glad that it's inspired by that, because that's brilliant.
Yeah, I can't not play a bard in 5e. I love them. They're the best.
Yeah, bards are so fun.
Yeah.
But I specifically, because the first version of this, it didn't really have like a robust combat system. It was more like, well, everybody roll performance and we'll see, what happens. And then I realized that that was really only fun for bards, because bards get like that expertise in performance and they're so good at it. And what I really wanted to do was see if folks could take, the way that they like to experiment with class builds in D&D and see if they could do that for, the band. And so I was like, what if, like your barbarian drummer could get rage damage, like bonuses from their rage to play the drums better, or that like saxophone playing rogue, you don't expect them to come in on the beat and they do, and then that sneak attack, right? Like they catch you off guard. So one of the things that I really wanted to do was make sure that, the bard might be leading the charge in your party of like, yeah, come on, join my, post-grunge, Faerun core band. I don't know. But the whole party, as long as they're proficient in an instrument, they should be able to, add their class features and cast spells through their instrument and all that kind of stuff. The supplement supports all of that.
That's amazing. I will say you're hitting like my D&D group's target demographic, because we started a little band in our party, because like I was the bard and then our rogue was like, I play the flute. Can I join you? Can we be a band? And it's like, of course we can.
This is what happens when musicians play D&D.
It's true. Yeah,
can't escape it.
Our rogue literally is one of the best saxophone players I know. So like,
it's amazing. I love that.
Yeah, that's funny that you say that, because I play the saxophone. He says, having not played it in several years. But yeah, I love to play the saxophone. I live in places where it's, I will make many people who live very close to me unhappy if I toot on that saxophone. So I haven't really had the opportunity to play it. But I very specifically, for those who know Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition, the main rogue ability is their sneak attack ability, which they can only get when they use weapons that have the versatile feature. So like a rapier, you can do sneak attack, or a dagger you can do sneak attack with, but you're not going to sneak attack with a great axe.
Yeah.
For a very good reason. I specifically, because a couple people asked me about it, they were like, why does the saxophone have the versatile feature? And I said, very simple, because I made it. I love rogues and I play the saxophone. Next question.
Also, the saxophone is an incredibly versatile instrument. It is. It is doing so much. It like is providing so much support and even like a little bit of rhythm. Like yeah. No, of course it's versatile.
Of course it's versatile.
Also, it fits in almost every single genre you can think of.
You're right.
What musical genre isn't made better with the introduction of a saxophone? I will wager none of them, all of them are better with saxophone.
Yep. Yeah, the reason "Run Away with Me" by Carly Rae Jepsen slaps as hard as it does is because of that saxophone.
That sax, yes.
Like, I mean, but Carly is the queen of putting an instrument in a song that is incredibly versatile. See the strings from "Call Me Maybe" that work if you put it in any other song.
Yeah.
I want to talk a little bit about your Twitch streaming. So you've been Twitch streaming recently, playing a variety of games, most recently playing Pokemon Mystery Dungeon, which is a series that I've never gotten into, but like I know they re-released it on Switch recently and stuff. I know that your Pokemon love goes deep. You are a hardcore Pokemon fan.
Yes.
What about, because I know for me, like it was literally the accessibility to just be able to play that game on my Game Boy. Like the reason I love Pokemon so much is I got Pokemon Red, I believe. Pokemon Yellow is the one I still have and that I remember the most. So like I remember getting Pokemon Yellow and going, oh my God, Pikachu can follow me around. This is the best game ever. But like, what about Pokemon drew you into that series, and why do you find yourself keep coming back to it?
Oh man, how much time do you have? I was also a very, very young child when I first discovered Pokemon. I first discovered it by way of the anime. Very much one of those I was up very early, and I was like, Mom, come on, it's time to wake up. And she was like, I'm going to bed. And she did this thing that she to buy herself a couple more hours of sleep, which respect. She did this thing that she almost never did. She turned the television on, and she just like skipped it. Normally she would look for Arthur, and if Arthur wasn't on the TV, then I couldn't watch TV. I was young. It wasn't like my mom was super censoring me. I was young.
Yeah.
Like this was 1998 or 9, I think. Yeah, 1999, and I was born in 94. So, you know, I was young. Mm-hmm. And she just like looked for the first animated thing she could find and was like, okay, watch this, I'm going back to bed. And it was the episode of Pokemon where like they go to the Bulbasaur garden and they're all singing and there's like the magic sparkly lights as the like some of the Bulbasaurs start to evolve. And it just, something switched in my brain that day. And I was like, I want to go to there. I want to be in that place at all times. These magical singing frog radishes are my everything to me.
I love Bulbasaur so much.
Let me tell you, I didn't realize Bulbasaur was based on a frog. Bulbasaur is one of my favorite Pokemon. Didn't know he was based on a frog until one of the recent Pokemon, I think it was Sword and Shield, where they let you have a Pokemon outside the Pokeball, and he hops as Venusaur. And I was like, oh my God, he's a frog. I never knew he was a frog. Yeah.
I think that might be a little bit of retconning on their part. I think they were like, how are we supposed to animate this thing? Frog. Like that'll be fun.
It has tongue, so frog.
But I mean, yeah, when you go back to the, you know, the fact that you were like, you liked the freedom of being able to play it on your Game Boy. For me, it was the first time it honestly, any video game probably could have done this for me, but it was because Pokemon was the first one that I played. It was the first time I did anything without parent supervision and without adult supervision, period. Like I could go out and make the decision of which Pokemon I could be in my party. I could go anywhere. I could do anything. And it made me feel very strong and capable because they're games that are designed to make children feel very strong and capable. Mm. And so that lasting feeling of, you know, like, I really can travel and see the world and go on fantastical adventures with my best friends has been just, you know, that addictive feeling that they sneak into all of their games.
Yep, and make us fight over which starter is better every time there's a new one. Sprigatito is the best of the new three. I will hear no debate.
I don't know. Yeah, but my chili pepper boy.
I know. He's literally a ghost pepper. He's going to be ghost fire.
Also, duck with hat.
Duck with hat
and hand out.
Yeah, I'm sorry. That's not my starter, but like we have to recognize duck with hat.
We do.
Duck with hat. Yeah, I mean, what's fun about watching your streams is like you're very engaging. I mean, you are obviously a great storyteller. There's no secret. Anyone who's listened to your SideQuest episodes, checked out your writing. What drew you to stream on Twitch? I know for me, it was literally a thing to do when I felt like I was going crazy as the pandemic kind of started. I was streaming before that, but I kind of really ramped it up in the pandemic. But like, what led you to want to like engage with video games in that way?
Couple things. Actually, we are coming up in like 5 days on my 1 year Twitch anniversary. Yeah. And so if that is any indication, I started streaming in the middle of the pandemic. Yeah. My partner is high risk and I am taking every precaution I can, which means that we do not get out much. And so I was getting a little bit of cabin fever. I wanted to hang out with my friends. I wanted to, you know, just talk for the sake of talking. Like, I think I forgot how to do that for a little bit because I was like, I would talk to my partner and I would talk to my coworkers at the time. And just like talking to the same 3 or 4 people and that's it every single day was starting to be like, oh boy, oh gosh, I've forgotten how to do this. So it started out and still kind of very much has that vibe of me at my house being like, hey, everybody come after you finish your homework and we'll play the new Pokemon game is kind of the vibe that I tried to cultivate. And it very much, like, a lot of my viewers are either like folks that I know or have worked with before, or, you know, folks that I interact with on Twitter or other social media a lot. So it has that very, like, right now, cozy vibe of like, we're all just hanging out in the same room watching me play a Pokemon game. I also really read a lot of fan fiction in my day, a lot of Pokemon fan fiction. I've done a lot of Pokemon role playing. I'm writing a Pokemon TTRPG.
Yeah.
So I really like talking about my Pokemon headcanons, and I really like talking about Pokemon lore. And folks really love to ask me questions and get me riled up about the things that I care very deeply about. And so that is also a big reason why I wanted to engage in video games that way, of like, you know, I can write this and get, you know, maybe a couple of notes on Tumblr, or I can talk it and get people to respond immediately in chat and try to goad me into going on a rant. I think one of my highlights right now is it's called the character assassination of Giovanni, and how I talk about that they keep bringing him back because of the nostalgia factor, and they are just totally ignoring like what his whole character development was and what the whole purpose of Giovanni was supposed to be in the first game, just because they want to keep parading him around in future games.
Yeah, the Pokemon Company doesn't do innovation as quickly as I would like, though I loved Arceus, and I'm very excited that the next one is also going to be playing off of what Arceus did as far as quality of life upgrades.
Yeah.
But if we could never have the Elite Four ever again, I think I'd be okay. Don't mind the Elite Four battle. I think the Pokemon League is cool. I think it's a fun kids' fantasy of like growing up to become the champion. But like, it's boring. I fought Pokemon bosses in the new game, and like the Pokemon were literally trying to kill me in that game. Like, which is like
trying to dodge and then like throw. Great stuff.
It just makes it feel more grounded in a way. Like, why are we not scared that these children are fighting these giant monsters that could eat them, literally eat them?
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that they stop the parading around of Giovanni's corpse at this point and also continue to innovate as we go, because I'm very much like, I will also be the last one though to complain about how Pokemon games are too easier for kids, because we were kids when we started playing these games. We grew up. The games are still for the same people. We just grew up. And so like I'm all for accessibility and making it more challenging, but also ways to circumvent that challenge if you're resourceful and know how to do stuff. Anyway, if we keep this up, we'll just talk about Pokemon for another 2 hours, and we can't do that. Leon, thank you so much for joining us. It's been a delight to get to know you over the last, year or so through the incredible Jeff Moonen, who I'll shout out again. Thank you for joining us here. Before we wrap up, tell folks where they can find all your stuff on the internet, where they can find you on the internet, the best way to buy your modules, and just kind of just enjoy your internet company.
Oh, yeah. Thank you. Well, thank you for having me on. You can find me pretty much anywhere at Barillion. It's like Barilleon, kind of like an Eevee evolution.
Sounds like a Pokemon name.
It's very, very intentional. So you can find me Twitter, Twitch, Instagram. Barillion.com is my website. If you're interested in my Dungeons and Dragons stuff, you can find it at the Dungeon Masters Guild. You can search my name, or you can follow the URL bit.ly/LeonDND. And that's where you can find me.
Amazing.
So easy to follow. I did it just now.
There you go. Just like that.
Just like that.
So simple.
So simple. So quick. Listeners, you can do it too.
Before we ask you our final question, Leon, we do have some folks to thank. Rachel, if you would please.
Yes. Thank you so very much to John Presnell for the use of the song Aurora off the album Fair Game featuring Stefan Remble.
Also, thank you to the incredible Katie Bogg, who designed our very awesome show art. I'm very glad that Rachel's come back around to the pink that's in our logo. It's like, it's a circle of life.
It's almost there. It isn't there. And thank you so much to the Certain Point of View Podcast Network for continuing to allow us to make a mess of their beautiful network. There's so many shows to enjoy on the Certain Point of View Podcast Network. You got Men of Steel. That one's about Superman. There's Panelology?
Yes,
Panelology.
correct. That is the name of
That
one of the
one's
shows.
About comic books. And there's also ones about books. I can't
like
remember.
Books That Burn.
Books That Burn. That one. They're great shows. You should check them out. On
One of
behalf
these days,
me.
Rachel. One of these days, Rachel will actually open the list of shows before this part of the show, but never. I'm just going to awkwardly stumble our way through it. Yes, please go to certainpov.com. You can find a permanent invite link to our Discord server where we're constantly talking about books, TV, video games, and more. You can also find a splash page for our recently... well, actually, not that recently as of when this came out, but we did a whole special on Batman for 2 weeks. And we have a page dedicated to it. Our show participated. A bunch of other shows did as well. So you can go check that out. And then, of course, if you are listening to us on a podcast platform, which I assume you are, I doubt you're just sitting on the website, though if you are, more power to you.
Someone found a way to make a rock work. You're a wizard. Good job.
You're a wizard. Please give us a rating or review on whatever your podcast platform of choice is. It really helps us find incredible listeners like you and also expand the conversation that we get to have around media that we love to have.
Yes, and to the wizard who figured out how to listen to our show on a rock, just draw 5 stars on your rock.
Yeah, perfect.
That'd be perfect. Thank you.
Perfect.
You appreciate it. And then throw it at your friends. Throw rocks at your friends.
Don't throw rocks at your friends.
Always throw rocks at your friends.
Also, you can, of course, find the show on twitter.com at screen_snark. You can find me at DJ_Stormageddon, and you can find Rachel at...
I am Rachel Quirky.
You can also send us an email at screensnarkpod@gmail.com. We have a Facebook page. We have, I think that's it. Please reach out to us.
I think we have an Instagram, but like, who uses Instagram?
We never use it. If you have questions, comments, guest recommendations, please reach out. We always love to expand this entire family we call Screen Snark along with all y'all. But now it is time for Rachel to ask our guest the final question.
So excited. So, Leon, I am so stoked to hear your answer to this as you have a great love of story. If you could choose any one trope from movies or television to instantly and magically become true in your life, either for your benefit or the detriment of an enemy, which trope would you choose?
Oh.
That's the sound I like to hear.
This is for my, so here's the thing. I have a trope. It's my favorite trope. Of all time. The problem is I have a partner who I love and who we're like forever, right? Yeah. But the trope that I want, that I in my everyday life, always and forever, that I wish I could keep replaying all the time is enemies to lovers. Just all the time. Best. I want to fall in love with all of my enemies, and I want all of my enemies to fall in love with me. That's it. That's my answer.
Perfect. A real Outlander situation.
Way to bring it back. We call that a callback, folks. It's always funnier when you point it out. Hair flip. Awesome. Perfect. Yeah. I think that's the most emphatically someone's picked that trope for sure.
It's a great trope.
Not just an enemy, but all of your
enemies.
Oh, yeah. The days when I was a theater kid and I just dreamed of meeting the Benedict to my Beatrice. Are you kidding me?
Ooh.
Well, thank you again, Leon, for joining us. This was a delight. Please go check out all of Leon's stuff.
Thank you.
Give Leon money if you can.
Please do.
Yeah.
They have a Ko-fi. They have a website where you can buy modules. Go buy the things.
Go buy that module. I'm gonna get it. It sounds awesome.
I also, of course, want to thank my incredibly charming, brilliant, and loyal companion, my awesome human friend, the incredible Rachel Quirky Shank.
And I would like to thank my sexy, brutal fiction co-host, Matt, a.k.a. Stormageddon.
I'll take it. And we also would love to thank all of you loyal listeners. Thank you for being here each and every 2 weeks. We will see you at the movies or on a couch somewhere. Bye-bye.
Can you believe we've been friends for 7 years?
And it all started because I compared you to Alana the lioness.
Tamara Pierce really set the tone of our friendship.
A love of magic,
Briar Moss,
fantasy,
Briar Moss,
powerful women, and of course,
Briar Moss. I'm Anna.
And I'm MJ.
And we invite you to join our Circle of Friendship,
where we do a chapter-by-chapter deep dive into the Circle of Magic series by Tamara Pierce.
We answer important questions like, how does Moonstream let certain dedicates take care of children?
Can you imagine anyone else but Mandy Patinkin playing Nico?
Knives, Briar?
And
knives?
Join us every other Monday at cofpodcast.libsyn.com or wherever you download podcasts.
But seriously, knives?
CPOV. CertainPOV.com.